They return their tithes, that new lay entity that covers the whole of North American division, and then the committee allocates that tithe to conferences who are faithful to Scripture. And that way, the conferences that go woke will go broke.
So the question is, why did they have to cancel him for that particular reason when it doesn't necessarily fit the plan of what they're going to speak about?
She's
and does that make sense?
Asking a serious question right now.
Why not just let God be God even still? Even if he went up and made a mistake, why does it have such an impact that you have to remove him from over a year's plan? Like, are you scared about what he's going to say when he gets there? Like, there's just so many things that I can say that I'm not well versed in him or in everything that he's been speaking about. And that I listened to the sermon, it was powerful, and I felt, wow, this is controversial. So my husband sent it to me and I listened to it and I thought, wow. But I think my biggest question is, was that a reason to remove him from being one of the speakers at this event?
So that's a
and how do you
question.
respond to that? Why do they have to remove him entirely? Because I think everyone in their human fallibility gets up front and says things, or we have strong opinions that just don't line up. Was it that significant to sit him down? And I'll let you know.
One thing that he said this time around, because and look at the picture of the flyer. The church is on fire, and you cancel the guy who's trying to put the fires out.
Exactly.
You're canceling the guy who is bringing a message that if God's people would take heed of this, listen, the latter rain will fall upon us, and this work would get finished, and God would be able to do so much more, for us if we would put those fires out. Yes, there's a crisis. And so in a time of a crisis, it's not time to do everything else. It's time to put those fires out. But here's what's different this time. It wasn't just his position. It was not just his positions on the vaccine. No, it wasn't just that. Yeah. One thing that if you haven't seen the video, I would encourage you to go back and watch the video.
We're going to play that video in a minute. Yeah, but go ahead. Mm-hmm.
One thing that he has done is that he's actually said something that I don't think he's done before, and he said this time. And basically, he said that, for those who sided with tyranny, for those who sided, with the oppressive mandates, for those who defended them, for those who promoted them, they ought to resign. Yeah, they ought to resign from their position. I would go a little farther. I would say, not only should they resign, maybe the left-footed fellowship and maybe take Bible studies once again, especially on know ye not that friendship with the world is enmity against God. Maybe we can start with that Bible study. And then we can baptize them, and then we can bring them back into the fellowship of the church.
Okay, so I guess, I'm glad you brought that point out. So what he said is that significant that they would make such a stance, because now, he basically called out all those who were for mandating someone's moral conscience.
Yeah, and he built this on the AdCom statement, reaffirmation statement. And this is what was said, right? The Seventh-day Adventist Church, in consultation with the Health Ministry and Public Affairs and Religious Liberty Departments of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, is convinced that the inoculation, because, by the way, my video was taken down, the vax, if YouTube still pick up some vax, programs that are generally being carried out are important for safety and health of our members and larger community. So this is the statement in red is what the big problem was.
I see.
Therefore, claims of religious liberty are not used appropriately in objection to government mandates or employer programs designed to protect the health and safety of their communities. That right here was the big no-no, in a sense. That's what he was really pushing back against. The statement in red.
Moral conscience is it's totally between one man and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
And you cannot as
determine.
Yeah, you cannot determine what a person should or should not choose or be pushing them to choose. It should be prayerful, personal.
Yes.
And I when I heard that, I thought, wow, it's so true. And I was really appreciative of that. But yeah, the churches did not uphold those people who were looking for
Help.
religious exemption.
Yeah. So earlier this year, Elder Mark Finley was speaking, and he said something. I did a video about this because I thought he was such a good counsel. And there, as he was speaking about the church and the constituencies and so on, he ended up saying that we need to hold our leaders accountable. And I'm asking the question, after we hear this, right? The question is on the table is this: how do we hold leaders accountable that are in these positions? What does that look like in practice? And that's what I would like to hear. I also want to hear from you, Andy Roman, what you would suggest. So let's listen to this video, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
And biblically, through every aspect. But we want to try and coordinate things so that we have a direct line to those who are entrusted with the responsibility of actually reporting back to the constituency, because they have been elected by the constituency. Most of you, online, union presidents, division officers, you and department directors at the General Conference, and at every level for that matter, a constituency elected you. You are to be held accountable for helping to keep this church, through the power of God, on track biblically, and through the wonderful instruction in the spirit of prophecy.
This was huge. And I agree. So my question now is, how do you do that? As God's people, how do you hold church leaders in such a position accountable? Right? How do you do that? Do you write letters? Do you just make phone calls? Are you allowed to preach a message where you expose things for what they are? Mm-hmm. These are some questions you and I have to talk about. And this is where we're going to bring this video back up now. This is going to answer some of it. So this is Dr. Conrard Vine. This is the piece that really made a lot of people in the conference very uncomfortable. And I think Secret and Seal, this is the part that he's referring to, Pastor Stephen Bohr. So let's take a listen.
I'm hoping and praying that our leaders will contend for the faith that has been passed on to them as well. That they will fight and defend the faith that we have, not just that we have as members, but our leaders will fight for and contend for the faith in their sphere of influence. It is not enough just to go to your office and come home after 40 hours and grumble to your spouse. You're in that office for a reason. Who knows but you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And I thank the Lord for every leader who does stand up for what is right and true and proper. I would encourage you to pray for our leaders, pray for your conference president here, pray for your union president, that they will have the courage when those hidden moments when decisions are being made that nobody sees and there's a lot on the line, that they will have the courage to do the right thing. Pray for your leaders because they have impossible tasks. And when they know that people are praying for them, it gives them courage and it puts wind in the sails of that ship of state so the ship is going in the right direction. So pray for your church leaders. The third point there is more contentious. I put there, if the GC supports future mandates over the consciences of members. That's an important caveat. If the GC in the future supports future mandates over the consciences of mandates, I think we are well within our rights to establish a parachurch movement within the Adventist Church. And what is that? A parachurch movement would be a gathering, a lay conference of laity. They gather, they maybe incorporate, they return their tithes, that new lay entity that covers the whole of North American division, and then the committee allocates that tithe to conferences who are faithful to Scripture. And that way, the conferences that go woke will go broke. Very simple. And the members will determine where that tithe goes based on fidelity to Scripture and whether they are willing to contend for the faith that has been passed on to us. Now, I recognize this is, when you touch the question of tithe, this is the sacred nerve in the Adventist Church. But Elder Wilson did say in his first sermon, hold your leaders to account.
I want to pause quickly. Are you guys in the chat room able to hear the YouTube, the video? Is it coming through okay? Somebody said there is no sound on YouTube. Let me know if it's coming through okay, okay? Can you confirm with me? It should be. Yes. So, okay. So it's not me. All right, let's back up just a little bit. All right, let's go back.
Did say in his first sermon, hold your leaders to account. So we're going to hold our leaders to account. And if more mandates are imposed that override your conscience and the church throws us under the bus once again, I believe that someone somewhere will take the first steps to establish a parachurch movement. And we'll say, with modern banking and modern legal systems, we don't need the conference, union, division, GC hierarchy. We can collect the tithes ourselves and allocate them to the conferences that are faithful to Scripture. It's a revolutionary idea. It's kind of crossing the Rubicon from many administrators' perspective. But it's what we can do as members, because we were encouraged to hold our leaders to account by our current GC president when he was elected. And this is about the only way we can do it. So this may well happen if the GC supports future mandates over the consciences of members. And the fourth thing, we're not there yet, is migrate to an underground house church movement led by bivocational elders and pastors. That's where we're going to be when the mark of the beast is imposed. When the mark of the beast is imposed, the conferences cannot bank because they won't receive the mark of the beast. If they're faithful to Scripture, that means the conferences cannot employ pastors, they cannot employ teachers, they cannot receive tithes and offerings. Therefore, the conferences, when the mark of the beast is imposed, are basically history. The church, when we talk about the church, we often mean the legal hierarchy, like the North New England Conference and the Atlantic Union, the North American Division, the General Conference. When we talk about the church as members, that's often what we mean. But the truth of the matter is, if the government of Maine were to cancel the registration, the legal registration of the Northern New England Conference, does that mean the Adventist Church would cease to exist in Maine? Yes or no? No, absolutely not. It means simply a functional unit where we return our tithes and offerings to support pastors and educators, so forth. That no longer exists, but the body of Christ still exists. It simply becomes an underground church, which means it has no legal presence. So when the mark of the beast is imposed, we will be in underground house church movements led by bivocational elders who are elders and pastors of the same things in the New Testament. But we're not there yet in time. The mark of the beast is not here yet. We are stronger as a movement and more effective in reaching unreached when we work together.
That a second time. Now I understand.
Yeah, the church is on fire indeed. Yeah. So he doesn't have to be.
He says it with such eloquence that it just sounds like, oh, that's a really good plan. But then when I think about the leadership's perspective, that's a really bad plan.
Yeah, that's
from
like
their perspective.
You're touching that secret nerves,
but
like you said.
It just, I guess for me, it just sounded like the right thing. But I'm forgetting that
this is the whole structure.
Yeah, this is the structure of our church.
Yeah.
So when I hear things like that, I'm like, yes, we have to protest. Yes, we have to fight against it. Yes. But not seeing it from the other perspective is where I failed. Yeah,
and I think it's fair to him because he said this is future. If the leaders support future mandates, this is very clear. We should establish a parachurch movement to protect our liberty of conscience.
Yep.
That's one of the best way to hold them accountable. Well, how else can we do it? Indy Roman, what's your thought and perspective?
Listen, what he's saying about supporting conferences that are doing the work versus not sending to those who are not, that's nothing new.
I was going to say that.
I mean, listen, brothers, that's been going on for years. In fact, let me bring it to the local level. There's people who drive 2 hours because they're going to support a present truth church. They're not going to support all these other churches.
Yeah.
And they give their offerings to help build up those local churches and local missions. Brothers, we're already doing those things. That's nothing new. That's nothing unique. That's not something worthy of getting canceled. And so listen, I understand that we have, let me talk about my local church. We have members that are from out of the state, and they send their support to our local church because they want to be a member of this local church. Listen, we're already doing that. people are already supporting the places that they feel need to be supported. So what he is saying is not something that is not already happening right now. Let me just add this second thing. You know, Martin Luther, he talked about revival. He talked about Reformation. He talked about a lot of issues that were happening in Rome. But let me tell you what brought down the wrath from the Pope. The moment that he began to touch that nerve, that sacred cow, the golden calf, the indulgences, the moment that he spoke against indulgences, they said, we have to destroy him. He's dead. He's out. He's gone.
That is true.
And that's unfortunate.
95 theses were about indulgences. That's what the argument was about.
It was about money.
Yes.
It was about money.
Yes. That
In
didn't
fact,
fit well with Rome at all. I agree.
You know, you can have, here's the sad part. You can have pastors, you know, at other meetings teach heresy. They can preach what the hellish torch of false prophecy. Nothing happens. You can have others get involved, go back into the world, start drinking. Nothing happens. But the moment you start talking about what Vine says, oh, that's it. You're out. They're not going to tolerate.
You made a good point. There's been a lot of things going on that should have been checked a long time ago. And sometimes I ask the question, I know the church is not function as a hierarchy and stuff like that. It's not a business. Sometimes I'm like, how are these men still hired? Why do they still have a job? Like, how we tolerate this? You know, it's like, why do you tolerate that? And the person,
you know why? Let me answer why they tolerate it. Here's why they tolerate it. Because they don't make any waves. They don't create any waves.
Oh, okay.
Well, and
the moment you start creating waves, that's problematic.
Thanks for watching. To get a better understanding of what was being discussed, I'm going to provide a link in the description of this video. Make sure you watch so you can fully understand what was being talked about. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more if you enjoyed this video. If you like what you heard, consider becoming a member to the channel. Support us that way so we can keep the fire burning. Until next time, have a good one. Bye.